At all. I'm not wearing a watch, so if you could just let me know when it's a minute to go. Where's the timekeeper? Yeah, so just kind of give me a
Hand
wave,
up at a minute, and then you can
and
stand up at a
then
minute.
I'll
Wonderful. Thank you so
accelerate.
much.
Good morning, everybody. The big question that we are tackling this morning is how could we attract, prepare, retain, and develop high-quality teachers. The first area is how do we attract, prepare, retain, and develop high-quality teachers. So when looking at the scenario, I came across statistics, and the first statistic that I found was that we have one of the lowest ratio of teachers to students in the world. Educators here will know that there is a huge shortage of teachers. When you find we can't find teachers, full stop, and the papers are full of the fact that there is a huge shortage. Just to give you an idea of the ratio, in the US it's 3,200 teachers per million people. In the Caribbean it's 1,500. In the Middle East it's 800 per million. And in India we have 456 teachers per million people. And these were statistics from the Times of India in 2009. And we need more teachers. The numbers are continuing to grow. We've got the rollout of the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. We've got a very successful primary enrollment. And we also have the RTE implementation. Where are these teachers going to come from? I thought that when I was growing up, and I'm on the very wrong side of 50, we still were looking forward to becoming teachers. And perhaps maybe it was because other options were not available. So a little bit of computation. I figured that the teaching ideas died somewhere in the 1970s and hasn't kind of risen after that. I make it a practice to ask my students whenever I'm teaching them, so how many are going to be teachers? I asked this question to a group of 150 students at the American Embassy School a few days ago for the TED Talks. Not one, except one young 13-year-old mathematician from, I think it was this America, but I don't know which state. Might have been New York. But not a single Indian student wanted to be a teacher. I repeated that question yesterday when I took my IGCSE class. Not one again. And I fear that for the metropolitan areas that indeed is a reality. So why are people not interested in coming into teaching? And the first thing is the perceived status of teaching as a profession, which was there in the 70s and is, way, way below at the moment. Interestingly enough, in South Korea, they draw teachers from the top 5% of the academic cohort post-university. In Finland, it's the top 10%. In Singapore and Hong Kong, the top 30%. I don't know whether we can, whether we can actually match that. The perceived status is critical. In South Asian cultures, education is seen as a premium, and we also have a traditional regard, or so we believe, for the teaching profession. But somewhere in our country, that's got eroded as we've gone along. Countries like the UK have taken very strategic steps to market aggressively, using business models, the teaching profession, and have managed to increase the recruitment into teaching. We also have an imbalance. Can I use this now? This one? Oh, right. Lovely, 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 lovely. We also have a huge imbalance in teacher allocation between states, between districts, and within rural and urban areas. There's a disproportionate lack of teachers in our primary schools in rural and tribal areas, and conversely, a higher proportion of female teachers in our urban areas. 19% of our total primary school teachers are single teacher driven, and the urban centers have many more female teachers, as I'd said. I'd like to just bring your attention to a report that many of you, I'm sure, would have had a look at. It's the McKinsey report, which studied 25 of the top performing school systems in the world. And they found 3 things mattered. And what were those 3? Getting the right people to become teachers. Secondly, developing them into effective instructors, and ensuring that the system is able to deliver the best possible instruction for each child. And in a sense, this is exactly what we are going to be looking at this morning. the sadness on our part, on any given day, 1 teacher in 4 is absent. In Maharashtra, the absenteeism figure is 15%, Jharkhand, 42%. One of the solutions that has been tried by states are para-teachers. Have para-teachers worked? The feedback is, no, they haven't. It actually has undermined quality. How do we attract people into the teaching profession? Is it compensation that people are worried about? Again, research across the board shows us that if you front load compensation and make sure that compensation when they come into the profession is at par with the best or the graduates in the private sector, then you will be able to attract good people. The fact remains that accelerated growth in the teaching profession doesn't happen. So many people leave after the first 3 to 5 years because they get a much better growth in terms of benefits and perquisites in the private sector. Having said that, nobody goes into teaching or stays in teaching for money, and that we all know, and teachers across the world will tell you we don't do it for money. So if you front load it, maybe that would help. But is the Sixth Pay Commission enough? Has it kept abreast of the increases in salaries across the board? How else can we attract people? Interestingly, they have the top performing schools and systems across the world looked at alternative pathways. England, for instance, has 32 ways in which you can enter the teaching profession. In our country, we have a very rigid entry mechanism. So perhaps we need to look at how we can move away from that and ensure that we get more people. The next is preparing teachers. There is a need to take a fresh, hard look at our training programs. Content, duration, method, frequency, and a comprehensive evaluation of training programs across all states. We have a 3-year undergraduate degree and a 1-year bachelor's in education model that we follow. We also now have the Bachelor in Elementary Education, which is a 4-year degree at colleges in Delhi University. Which is preferred? As educators, we know that a training program that doesn't give you practice teaching is frankly not worth the payment or the course fee. And if you look at so many of the B.Eds that are mushrooming across the country, many are by correspondence, 15 days practice teaching, if that practice teaching not really monitored, and as the employer at the other end, you have no way of knowing how the teacher has performed in that practice teaching 15-day window that he or she has had. So a real rethink on that, I believe, would be welcome. Pre-service training, as I say, is really in danger of being out of date. And given that so many of our primary schools are multi-grade teaching with a single teacher, we need to actually prepare for that as well. So do we review the PRT, TGT, B.Ed approach? Do we look at pathways? Another area to attract people and prepare them is to ensure that there is a creative, interesting learning environment which is innovative and appreciates and acknowledges teacher growth. Can we give more autonomy and budgets to our government schools and our principals to develop training needs suited to their specific needs? Another way of looking at it is, can we take experienced people, those who have already done a degree or 2 degrees but don't have a teacher training qualification, as some states in the US do, they get paid to be trained by the district. And so can we look at hiring experienced people without training and then train them with that and incentivize professional development other than our TA and the DA that is given? How do we retain teachers? I don't have statistics on attrition. I tried very hard. I got them from the States. 50% of the teachers who join the profession in America leave within the first 5 years. They stay on if they get a coaching and mentoring program and they feel supported. Whoops, there we go. Okay. I'm going to go straight to developing teachers. We spend very abysmally 3.85% on education. our allocation for in-service training is also very poor. Singapore, as Simon mentioned, has 100 hours a year. Hong Kong, he said, had 150 hours a year. Can we motivate our teachers? There was a report at the NCRT which said the biggest challenges in education are motivation of two segments, students and teachers. How can we motivate our teachers to actually enjoy growth, to teach to the best of their ability, to go for professional development, and to continue to make improvements in their practice? This only comes about when they have a shared sense of purpose, when they have high expectations, and they have a really strong belief that they're going to make a difference to their student community. Very little teacher training takes place in the classroom, and very few schools embed professional development centers within the classroom. So preparing our teachers and developing them so that they stay is going to be another great challenge. Finally, can we then, through our discussions in our groups, look at these 4 areas and see from our own experiences whether we can come up with blueprints, actionable ideas that can be taken forward? Thank you.